Hello everybody, Noel Jack here, and today I will be doing my tier list on characters from Lindsay's, also known as D-Man's, fan-made Total Drama season, called Total Drama Destiny. And I'll be ranking them of how good I thought they were, based on their performance, and only just for this season, not from every season. I'm not going to based on how I really like them by favorites, but just by how well I thought they did. So this is only my opinion, and so here's how I'm gonna do. I'm gonna actually go elimination order instead of alphabetical. So yeah, I'm gonna start off with Mike. I think Mike was actually the early boot in. I think he was only there just as the early boot and see what they could do with, without Zoe being involved, and since Mike already served his role in both Revenge of the Island and All Stars, I don't think there was much to do with him. I think, my theory on him is of him retracing his steps to see what he could do to see what he could do alone in a season, but unfortunately, Alejandro got his revenge on him. So I say Mike was pretty decent. Really not much to say about him. I think he was pretty relevant, but just not the most important character. Next is Dave. I really think he started to, mature a little bit. Redeem himself a little more after quitting, just like he did in the first season he was in. He did it for a different reason, but in a kind of a different way, just to prove to Sky that he was actually telling the truth about what Blanley told Sky in front of him. And ever since, he didn't do much aside to him being eliminated, like in the Aftermath episode, as well as the very last episode he was in with the other eliminated contestants. But he was pretty okay. Really not much. Owen. I really enjoyed his interactions. Well, his friendship with Noah, yes, and his interaction with Dave, I thought was pretty good. And ever since, he didn't really do that much. And I say he was decent, so I'm gonna put him at the very bottom. Or, I don't know. Next, Dakota. She was okay. The only good thing that happened to her, the only thing I really liked about her character in this series was that she's reverted back to her human form and not her monster self. I happen to really prefer Dakota's human form better than her Dakotazoid form. And she basically had her moments of Blanley and trying to be herself. So I say she was okay. Again, really not much. Next is Heather. She did not do much. The only interesting things were that she hooked up with Alejandro again, and they tried to team up and try to get rid of Courtney, and that's basically just it. And she still heated it on Lindsay. So I'm sorry, I don't think Heather was really that good, but I think she was a little bit okay. But sadly, yeah, I don't know, put her on okay, but she'll be below Dakota and Dave. Next is Duncan. Here's how I'm gonna say, all Duncan did was just simp on Courtney, and really didn't do anything that much except just be present for the challenges and challenge briefings, and just, yeah, I just don't think Duncan was that good this season, because it really wasn't that enough. The only thing I really liked was his elimination, and I really don't care that much for Duncan these days, unfortunately. Sorry, Duncan fans, but I just don't think there's enough for Duncan this season. Next is Sky. Ever since Dave was eliminated. I feel like Sky didn't do much except try to find out if Blangley was rigging the game, and that's all she actually did. So I think she was okay. A little bit boring, but I say she was herself for the most part, so I say she was okay. I'll put her at the top of that, which is close to being decent. Harold, in my opinion, Harold, I mean, look, I love Harold, but honestly, he didn't do a whole lot, but I think the actual good stuff he did in the series, he didn't make it that far. I mean, he did have potential. I mean, he would probably have a rival with Scott, maybe, and, that kind of stuff. Improve his relationship with Lashana, and try to have a rival with Courtney again, but, they just took that away. I would have loved to see him make more friends on the show. But, besides that, Harold was pretty decent. I'll put him at the top of decent because the rap battle he and LaShawn had against Scott and Courtney was great. I feel like Harold was just choosing to stay out of people's way and basically maturing his way in the competition. Because, he was pretty bitter when he got rid of Courtney in the first season and was actually doing well in action until he got booted off. And World Tour, I felt like he was pretty decent as a supporting character to Cody. And this season I thought he wasn't that, Harold was just himself, but I feel like was cool. Just not, top of the list for me. Alejandro, he did have some good moments. Him actually flaming Chris by saying, "Don't call me Al." It's one of the funny parts, and also trying to avenge Heather. He proved he was a solid competitor, and that's basically it. So I say he was decent. I'll probably put him, I don't know. I say he's probably in between Owen and Mike. I don't know. Tyler. I thought Tyler was good. Him trying to, be a team player like in the first episode. And even though he broke up with Lindsay, but he's the one that dumped her and because Lindsay burned down his house by mistake. And him being on Lindsay's side and reconnecting with her. I think Tyler was actually really good. The first real good character in my opinion. Just not in the top of the list. This guy was actually robbed before Merge, and that was kind of sad. Next, Lashana. I say Lashana was overall good. In between that and decent. I say that Lashana proving herself as a worthy competitor, her having a rival with Courtney, and actually, Alejandro getting out before her was good, and actually, being a good person to Harold, and her friendship with Gwen and Bridget continued, and I really thought Lashana was actually really good. So yeah. Next, Bridget. She had some good character development. I say Bridget really working hard. She got 9th place, which is higher than what she got on Island. So there's been some peak for her this season. So she's going back to her old roots. With Jeff not being around her, focusing on trying to win the game. Being a good friend to Lindsay and some people, and she's another supportive character on the show. So I say she was overall good. Next, Gwen. Gwen didn't do much in this season. In the first 6 episodes. The 7th episode it started to do a little more. I guess they just had to get rid of, get Duncan, Heather, and some other characters out of the way. So I say Gwen was good, with her relationship, with reconnecting with Trent, which is really enjoyable, and her, dynamic with Lashana. I say Gwen was actually good. I'll put her right here. I just don't think there was a whole lot. She was a little boring at first, but she was at least better than some others. Next up, Blanley. She was a good villain. I mean, I didn't like what she did to Bridget in this series, but you know, she really did have her set of victims, and her getting arrested was satisfying until she escaped but was able to get caught again. I didn't think, I mean, since she was somewhat the main villain, she just didn't, you know, get it. I just didn't expect her to get out really that early. I thought I did at first, but changed. So I say she was decent. I'll probably put her above. I'll probably put her between Owen and Alejandro. Even though I don't like Blanley, I still think she was decent this season. Next will be Trent. I really enjoyed Trent. This is one of the first great characters. Him trying to mature and really trying not to be weird. He had some really good lines. I love the part where when he walked in and one day was crying, he's like, I don't like awkward silences, I'm out of here. And made the right choice with saying, we move too fast. And I really thought Trent was actually really good this season. Next is Noah. I really enjoyed his character. He was still Noah, and I love the moment where he brought up Rodonko's race and Chris got mad at him for that, and Noah having a rivalry with Blanley and not having to worry about her since she was eliminated, and Noah trying to avenge the loss of Owen and Dave, who were basically his friends on the show. And I really thought Noah was actually really great. So yeah, Noah fans, shout out to you. Next, Scott. Scott, he had some funny moments. I can't say much, but you know, him having a, you know, simping over both Courtney and Dawn at the same time was a little unhealthy. Him trying to avoid Fang. I wouldn't say he's okay. I say he's kind of mid. So I'll most likely put him between, I'll put him between Harold and Mike for the time being. Because I think Scott just, you know, that's kind of a tough one. I think Scott was actually really good. I'll put him probably, I'll probably put him between Tyler and LaShawna for now, or probably put him between LaShawna and Gwen. Kind of a tough one. But I say he's probably mid, so I'll probably put him, I don't know, kind of a tough one to rank. I'll put him in decent for now. Maybe I'll figure something out. Lindsay, overall great character. She was a victim because of Chris, and I say she was basically the, I mean, she is the mascot of the channel for D-Man, and I say Lindsay was actually really good. I'll probably put her either great or below that list. I say Lindsay, you know, I mean, she was just Lindsay and was able to act less clueless, especially when Chris was, you know, harassing her. So that thing really puts her higher. But one other thing I don't like is that she, well, actually she didn't choose to be disqualified, she just got disqualified, so, but she really tried to reconnect with Tyler. So yeah, Lindsay's definitely great. Who should I do? Dawn. I say Dawn was good, in my opinion, not much to say, but she did basically, I mean, I don't know. I really can't say much about Dawn. She was just Dawn. And Courtney, I think her rivalry of Dawn was good. I feel like Courtney was still kind of overdoing some things, and I think Courtney's kind of mid for me. I'll probably put her either above or below Harold, so she's kind of in the same level as Scott, but I say both Courtney and Scott are somewhere. So she's kind of, tied between Scott and Harold. So I say, yeah, I really don't know what to say about Courtney. But she was okay. But I'd probably put her, I don't know. I'll probably put her, yeah, she's kind of a tough one to rank. I will rank the hosts. Chef was actually trying to be the voice of reason. Whoops. And I say Chef was actually really decent this season. And Chris, he was actually really good. Only because he's Chris, but I would probably take away points for him being, harassing Lindsay and trying to get her to go out with him. So he probably is decent for his comedy. That's all I could say for him for now. So yeah, this is basically my list of how I kind of rank the characters. A few of them were hard to rank and didn't explain enough. But this is just my opinion. I feel like Duncan's kind of like the character that didn't really do well. I feel like there wasn't really much to do with him, and yeah. And Lindsay, Noah, and Trent were probably the best characters in my opinion in this series, who performed the best. Bridget, Tyler, and Lashana were great too. Gwen and Don, I thought they were really good, and Chris was just another mid character. Harold, he was a tough character to rank. Well, not that tough. He was close to being good, but he was still decent as just a supporting character. Chef was basically decent for his comic relief, while for being a voice of reason, actually. Courtney and Scott are mid. Same thing with Alejandro and Blanley. Mike, he kind of, is good as a relevant character. He just I think he had a reason to be here. So, yeah, and that's really all I could say for some of the characters. And that is my list. Let me know how you will rank the characters. I would love to hear it, and this is basically it. So, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.